event coming up on Sunday. We're going to tell you about it before you go do something else. He's going to recreate the Peter Frampton Comes Alive album at City Winery. Just want to get that in there. That's Sunday, the 27th, because I know people don't stay long, but we get that fact in there right away. Mm-hmm. And Chachi's going to be there. Maybe I'll go. And Gary, of course, will be there with the band. And now let's dig into what's going on, the details of what's going on. Hi, Gary. Hi, Chachi.
Hey.
How you doing, Bradley? Thank you for having us.
Thanks, Bradley. Thanks for having us on.
So, Chachi's the MC for this.
Yes.
Chachi's real tight with the City Winery. And Gary, this is not a new thing. He's been doing this show, this Peter Frampton Comes Alive thing, a bit. So it's a polished thing.
Very.
And tell me about it. Anything you want to tell me about it?
Well,
Gary.
we try to recreate the album pretty much in order, almost exactly like it is, except that we put all the acoustic songs right in one spot in the middle, so we don't have to keep letting the band leave and come back, So they all take a break. I do a solo acoustic set in the middle. There's just four of us. My band normally has sometimes up to 7 people, but we stripped it down to make it like Peter Frampton's band at the time. And they have a great keyboard player, does what Bob Mayo did. His name's Chris Nimitz, and he plays keys on some of the songs, guitar on some of the other songs. We learn the album. We don't play everything note for note. We do our own, improvising, and we will take songs out sometimes even longer than they are on the album. If we're feeling good, if it's a good audience. Like we did it in Old Ocean Beach, which is where I'm playing tonight with somebody else. Same place, and people went nuts, so we just got real into it, started dressing up the songs, and they got more into it. So each song got a little longer and longer because the audience was so excited. It was really fun.
Frampton Comes Alive album, I remember, and I've said this a bunch on the radio when I play the songs, probably the most popular. It was in everyone's record collection. If you went to anyone's house, ever, anywhere, say, hey, what do you got? What do you got in your record collection? Definitely, Frampton Comes Alive was in most everyone, and it was pretty worn out because people played the heck out of it.
Yeah,
and now you know a lot about Peter Frampton. You're a big fan, right? You read the book. You love the dude. What is it about Peter that attracts you?
It's a really good guy. Well, so I have the record also, and I remember the first time I listened to it all the way through. Had nothing to do. I had a day off on a Saturday. I was in my early 20s, and I put it on. And the first thing that grabbed me was the guitar playing was so different from anything I had heard at the time. And then the singing, I realized the singing is fantastic. And then I thought, the songwriting is amazing too. So those three elements came together, and just the way it's recorded, it's a great recording.
Right, the way it's recorded too. Yes.
I think I listened to it twice through that one day, and I was hooked. I can never explain to people fully what it was about it. I just said, I know I love this. I can't quite put it into words why, but I just love this music. And then I saw him right before the pandemic, and at Harborside in Boston.
Harbor Lights.
The venue. Yeah,
Harbor Lights.
Used to be Harbor Lights.
Yeah, boy, and he just tore the place up, and I thought, you know what, I want to take a stab at doing this, and we booked a one-off at the Regent Theater. It went really well, and we just kept doing it.
Did it take a lot of time to prepare it?
6 months. Yep.
6 months of rehearsal. How often? Once a week?
Yeah, maybe every other week. Yeah. 2 of the months was everyone learning their parts at home. And the other 4 months was every other, or a little bit more, getting together, and tightening everything up.
At least you don't have to write the songs. You don't have to wonder, are these songs any good? Like you do with original songs. They're killer. And so there's that.
Right. Yeah, like when we hit Do You Feel Like I Do, and there's a good audience there, everyone erupts, It's like, wow. It's a very exciting feeling.
And you're really good at using that little tube thing, the talk box. How does that work anyway?
Well, your guitar goes. You plug it into this box, okay, and in the box there's a speaker. When you put your foot on the switch, it reroutes your guitar signal away from your amplifier into the box with the speaker. There's a hose that comes out of the box, and it is clipped to your microphone stand. It goes right there, right inside of your mouth, and the sound comes into your head and your mouth cavity, and it mixes with your vocal cords. So it's really a combination of your own vocal cords and the sound of your guitar blended together. Then it comes through the microphone.
Who the heck invented that? How did that? I mean, this is a rhetorical question. I don't. You like. You may know who invented it, but how they came up with that? Pretty weird. Must have been some scientist, right?
Yeah. All I know is that on All Things Must Pass, Chachi probably knows this story. On the George Harrison album, George Harrison asked Peter Frampton to come play guitar on it. So he's actually on the album a lot. And they had a pedal steel guitar player, and he had a talk box, and he would run his pedal steel through it, and he'd say funny little things. Yeah, Peter saw it and heard it, and thought, "Oh, I got to get one of those." So I think the pedal steel guitar player, I can't remember his name, but he sent him one. And then they built their own version that was a little bit louder based off of what he sent him.
Oh, all right. So he was kind of involved in the development of it as it exists today, or at least as he uses it.
I think that was Pete Drake, maybe.
Pete Drake, that's exactly right.
That's correct.
Thank you.
And you told an interesting story just before we came on the air. Are we talking about the David Bowie connection with Peter Frampton and Peter Frampton's father? And the father was a teacher, and Bowie was tight with the father and would go and hang out at gigs. And can you give me a few more details on that?
Well, I think David Bowie was older than Peter, and I think he did well in school, and Peter Frampton's dad and David Bowie just got along really well. So later in life, when David Bowie became famous, sometimes he would send passes to Peter's dad to go to the show. And when Peter was playing with David Bowie, Peter's father would go to those shows, and he'd end up hanging out with David Bowie and not with Peter, which is kind of funny. So they have their own special relationship.
Peter Frampton seems like a nice guy, right?
Yeah, he really does. I've never met him before, although he did send me a note on Instagram. No, on Twitter, right before our first show, and it was great. He said, "Thank you so much for doing this. I'm honored. And if you need any pointers, let me know."
That's cool. Did you ask for any pointers? Did you ask him anything?
I did. I never heard back.
How did he know you were doing it?
That's a really good question. Well, we were posting it on Twitter a lot, and he's on Twitter a lot, and he must have seen it. He's one of my only followers on Twitter, is Peter. So he has a blue check mark, so we knew it was him. And I think somebody in our local scene is friends with his guitar tech, and had told him about it. So that's one of the ways he got word about it.
That's cool, man. You know,
Yeah.
I think I'm kind of looking forward to seeing this. So, Chachi, what time I got to include Chachi in here, and what time does it start, man?
Thank you, Bradley. Doors are at 6:30, I think. Shows at 7:30 or 6 doors and 7 show. It's one or the other, but get there before 7, as I will be there, and I'll be emceeing the show. Because, you know, Bradley, we have musician friends that have been musicians since their youngest days, like Dave Hurley.
Yeah, right.
Gary Backstrom started at a young age. And, you know, a lot of the bands we worked with, local bands, you know, they fade away, they go away. Some stick around and it's their life's work. That's what Gary is all about. He's been playing since he was a kid. He has, you know, Jiggle the Handle was such a memorable band. We always remember the name. But the Gary Backstrom Band has some great recordings, GaryBackstrom.com. Gary and I became friends over the years, and I just have such admiration for his skills. Such a great songwriter, player, guitarist, dear guy, big heart, and I love Gary. When I did a a Beatles Regent fundraiser during COVID. Gary came on the program. All of my friends and various musicians that I admired, I asked them to record themselves playing a Beatles song. And Gary recorded Isn't It a Pity? And the video was fantastic. I sent it to you, Bradley. It's available on YouTube. You can find it. Gary Backstrom, Isn't It a Pity? And you know what? He's a huge Beatles fan and has been since day one. So we have lots to talk about when we're together. And I have such admiration for the guy. And you know, Bradley, he played at our Come Together show.
I know. I was there.
He was great, right? You were there. And so I'm glad City Winery booked him. They saw him perform and they loved what he did. And they did as well in at the Regent. And he plays everywhere. He plays with orchestras, you know, like I did with the Boston Pops. He plays with orchestras as the front band, and they accompany him. You've done Billy Joel shows, Gary?
That's right. That's what I did last night. I did that in Laconia, which is where I am right now. Yeah.
Oh, wow. You're working a lot.
Colonial Theater, we had a sold-out show with the Billy Joel Elton John thing, yeah. And tonight we're doing it in Old Orchard Beach, at the ballpark.
He works all the time, right?
I do.
Always working. And
that's cool.
When I say working, that means he's playing, which isn't
right.
work. But it's not easy, Bradley. You're in a band. It's not easy, you know, doing gigs and traveling and prepping and all that business.
That's right. Before we go, you mentioned the Come Together, your Beatles event. Tell us quickly, if you don't mind, Gary, about your upcoming thing since we're here, and let's give that a plug.
Thank you.
It's going to be big.
The next Come Together is huge. It's going to be September 10th, Sunday. It's a lunch event. Doors at 11, show at noon. And Bradley's been our MC since the beginning. We love having Bradley a part of our team. And every Come Together show at City Winery, there's one a month. We highlight a different event in Beatles history. It could be a birthday. It could be an album release, you know, 50th anniversary of the White Album. It could be all kinds of different subjects. On September 10th, we're going to celebrate a day in Boston Beatles history. It was September 12th, 1964. The Beatles played a sold-out Boston Garden. It was recorded as the loudest Beatles show on the tour. So on September 10th, we're going to celebrate that 59 years ago. And we have not only Bradley emceeing, my partner on stage, Beatles magician John Logan, but we have a special treat. Come Together, the Beatles tribute will be there performing. They'll be in their outfits, vintage Beatles instruments, the hair, the boots, and they will recreate the set that the Beatles performed at the Garden on September 12th back in 1964. There'll be some people in the audience that were at that show in 64. And that will be fun to talk to them. And we tell stories and have photos and films of the Beatles at the Garden. So September 10th, Come Together, the Beatles celebration at the Boston Garden at City Winery at noontime. So
I don't think you mentioned the awesome band Studio 2, did you?
Studio 2 is fantastic. I've known them for over 10 years. I've supported them since the beginning. Rob, who plays George, was actually my producer on Breakfast with the Beatles for a little bit on ZLX for a year or two. So that's how I got to know them. And they're fantastic. And they tribute the Beatles' early years. And this would be included, this 1964 show at the Boston Garden.
Okay, so let's recap on what Gary's doing on Sunday, the 27th, which is this Sunday, right? This is the 24th. At 7 o'clock at City Winery, Boston, which is fun because you can eat and you can drink. And Gary is recreating the Peter Frampton Comes Alive album, which is just a joyful idea, and I'm so glad you did it. You know, you mentioned Dave Hurley. I bet he would like to come. Maybe I'll ask him if he wants to go. Doesn't that seem like a thing he would like to see? I think so.
I think it would be great. I was with Dave just the other night at a house party in Waltham where he got up and performed for about a half an hour. Yeah, it was at Scott Damgard's house. He had a little afternoon event with friends in his backyard. He set up a stage and seats and everything. Dave Hurley, he played, and Scott Damgard played, and some other musicians all played. It was a lot of fun. So, yeah, Hurley, he's great. We love Dave.
Okay, everybody. Maybe we'll see you all at. Hopefully, we'll see you all at City Winery in Boston on Sunday, 27th. Doors at 6. Show 7:30. Chachi will definitely be there. He's the MC. Gary will be there. Oh, by the way, this is with the band. I don't know if we
Oh yeah, full band.
we need to
full
say
band.
full band,
Yep.
full band. It's not a solo acoustic performance. It's the whole
at all.
thing with the talk box and everything,
Yeah.
and I can't wait to see that.
Well, Bradley,
We'll be there.
if you do come, Bradley, you can come on stage and MC with me, and then let's play with the talk box and see what we can do.
You don't want to.
I don't, it's okay if he puts it in his mouth, man. It's gross.
He's right. It's not a good.
Unless you got your own hose. Okay, you
gotta
guys.
bring your own hose. BYOH.
Okay. Take care, everyone. You guys take
Thank
care
you guys.
too.
Thank you both.
Thank you, Bradley. Thank you,
Thanks,
Gary.
Bradley.
See you Sunday.